I'm Morgan, 33 years old, working in finance in Denver, Colorado. People usually assume the eldest child is serious, quiet, maybe a little cold. As for me, I was defined by just three words: the one who carries. Since childhood, I got used to staying in the background and handling everything. Cleaning up after my sister's birthday parties, helping her with math homework late at night, canceling plans with friends just to pick her up from art class. Her name is Hannah, 4 years younger than me, always full of energy and the center of attention, especially for our mother, Sherelle. Even when I earned a scholarship to a state university, Mom barely nodded. Well, that's Morgan. She always does the right thing. But when Hannah got into a private art school with sky-high tuition, Mom screamed in the living room, "My daughter is so talented. I told you, Hannah brings color into this house." I remember that moment vividly, me standing there holding my semester budget spreadsheet while Mom hugged my sister like she'd just won a Grammy. My father, Ronald, was never one to speak up. He's gentle, calm, and always chose to step back when Mom made decisions. He could cook a lovely dinner for the whole family, but couldn't find the words to defend me when Mom criticized me in front of relatives. As a kid, I used to think, maybe it's because I'm the oldest. I have to sacrifice. But after decades, that excuse became just a shield for people to avoid responsibility and exploit my silence. Whenever Hannah messed up, Mom turned to me. "Morgan, you're the older sister. You should understand her. Give in to her." Whenever the family faced financial trouble, she'd say, "You have a good job. Helping out a little won't hurt." And when I was hurting, no one asked. No one paused to listen. I still remember the time I broke up with my long-term boyfriend, the one I thought I'd marry. I drove 3 hours home, hoping one hug from my mother would be enough. But when I walked through the door, she barely looked up and asked, "Where's Hannah? Didn't she come with you?" So I wanted to scream, "I'm the one who just got betrayed. Do you even care?" But I said nothing. I walked to my room, shut the door, and for the first time, felt completely alone in my own family. Hannah was different. One text from her, and Mom would leave a pot boiling on the stove just to be with her. She could forget to pay tuition and still get praised. She's an artist. Having financial sense is rare in creatives. I used to think time and maturity would bridge the gap between me and Mom. I was wrong. When Hannah graduated, Mom threw a grand party at a hotel, hired a professional photographer and a live band. When I got promoted to regional director, she said over the phone, "Wow, that title sounds big. Don't forget to take your dad and me for our checkups, okay?" No congratulations, no cake, just another task. I don't know what feels worse, being invisible or only being seen when someone needs something from me. Either way, I'd gotten used to it. And I thought that was the extent of it. Until Hannah's wedding was announced. Hannah got engaged on a June afternoon, right after her first art exhibit at a small gallery in Boulder. When I walked into the room, the diamond ring was already shining on her finger and her eyes sparkled with joy. And proposed right after it ended. "Morgan, I can't believe it. I'm getting married." Hannah hugged me tightly, swaying with excitement. Surprised but genuinely happy, I smiled. "So my little sister's going to be a bride. Who's the maid of honor?" "You, of course. I can't do this without you." I hugged her back, thinking that maybe this time I'd finally be given a meaningful role, not out of obligation, but because I was chosen, because of love. In the following weeks, I threw myself into wedding planning like it was the biggest project of my life. I built a budget spreadsheet, mapped out every detail from floral arrangements to appetizer menus. We spent hours in my apartment sipping red wine and flipping through bridal catalogs, giggling like we were kids again. "Which color palette do you like better, dusty rose or emerald green?" "Dusty rose," she said. "Softer." "Great, I'll book sample fittings at both of your favorite shops. Don't worry, I'll cover the cost." Hannah nodded. "I'm so lucky to have you." That sentence kept me warm for weeks. I wired a $3,000 deposit to the photographer she adored, even though Mom disapproved. What a waste. "My friend can take decent pictures," she scoffed. I hired a team to craft handmade invitations, another $1,200. but it was exactly the vintage style Hannah loved since she was a kid. I even brought in a private chef, someone who'd catered for a celebrity wedding in Aspen, just because Hannah once sighed, I want something truly unique, truly artistic. Every time I signed a check, I told myself, I'm doing this for Hannah, no one else. Then I decided on the ultimate wedding gift, a honeymoon in Santorini. I booked a boutique hotel with ocean views, a private pool, and nightly Greek cooking classes. First class round trip tickets, private transportation. I spent over $9,000. I wanted her to start her marriage with the kind of beauty and peace I had never been given. No one asked me to pay. I didn't want a flashy thank you. Just Hannah's smile was enough. Still, there were small signs that gave me pause, but I brushed them off. Once I suggested hosting the bridal shower at a garden venue in town. Mom cut me off sharply. Too windy and expensive. Why must you always aim for luxury? Let me ask my friend. She planned a party for the mayor's son. I looked at Hannah, hoping she'd speak up. She only smiled weakly. It's okay, sis. Let Mom help a bit. Another time, I stumbled on a Facebook group chat called Team Bride. Mom, our cousin Rachel, some of Hannah's close friends were in it. I wasn't. When I asked, Hannah shrugged. Oh, it's just small stuff. You've been busy. Do you want me to stop helping? I asked quietly. Don't say that. I need you, but some people think you're a little intense. You understand, right? I nodded, but something quietly cracked inside me. I thought maybe I was being too sensitive, that wedding stress was making everyone snappy. What I didn't know was that those cracks were the beginning of something far more deliberate, an orchestrated collapse that everyone knew about, except me. Everything started to go off track on a Saturday morning when I got a short text from Hannah. Mom booked the church. It's gorgeous. You don't have to worry anymore. I froze. Touring churches had been the plan Hannah and I set for the coming weekend. I had even scheduled visits at 3 different locations around the city. I called her. She picked up after 3 rings, her voice both groggy and awkward. Mom really likes that church. It's close to home, and she knows the pastor. I thought it wouldn't hurt to let her take care of it, right? I smiled faintly, though a storm was already rising inside me. I thought this was your wedding, not Mom's. Silence. Then Hannah mumbled, You know how Mom is. Sometimes it's just easier to let her handle things. Easier for who? I didn't ask. From that point on, everything started slipping through my fingers like grains of sand. I wasn't told about the cake tasting, despite being the one who had sent Hannah a curated list of Denver's top bakeries. Photos of her and Mom smiling beside a 3-tier ivory cake showed up on Facebook with the caption, Love is when your mom picks the perfect flavor. It stung like a slap across the face. Suddenly, Rachel, my cousin, began showing up in every behind-the-scenes wedding picture. From dress fittings to meetings with the planner, there she was beside Hannah, arm in arm, beaming. I didn't even know when those meetings happened. No one had sent me any schedules. One day, I caught an Instagram story, Hannah, Rachel, and Mom trying on bridesmaid dresses at a fancy boutique. I texted Hannah, I thought you wanted me to come dress shopping with you. 2 hours later, she replied, Sorry, sis, Mom booked it last minute since Rachel's heading back to Arizona next week. We'll go together next fitting, I promise. That next fitting never happened. Every time I brought up my role, stationery design, music selection, seating charts, Mom had a way of brushing me off. Let Rachel take care of that, you're busy. Or, I already handled that, no need to trouble yourself. Or worse, Morgan, just handling the finances is more than enough. Don't try to do everything. People might think you're the bride. I had never seen someone turn rejection into such a sweet-sounding favor. I thought Hannah would see what was happening, but she never said anything. She never took my side. Not once did she push back on Mom. One afternoon, during our usual lunch at the Blue Hen, a mother-daughter tradition, Mom said bluntly, You should let Rachel be the maid of honor. You might be hardworking, but you don't understand aesthetics. Hannah needs someone more refined and less intense. I set my spoon down. Fury crawled through my fingers like fire. Excuse me? I'm just being honest. You micromanage too much. This is Hannah's day, not yours. Maybe you should learn to step back. Step back? After spending over $13,000? After sleepless nights budgeting and organizing? I stood up and walked away, leaving my soup untouched. I said nothing because I knew if I opened my mouth, everything would explode right then and there. And I wasn't ready to lose my sister. That night, I opened my laptop and stared at the wedding spreadsheet on Google Sheets. Venue deposit, $4,000. Dations, $1,100. Photographer's deposit, $2,750. Unannounced honeymoon deposit, $5,000. Nearly $13,000 in total, not including hundreds of hours of work or the pride I'd been slowly giving up. And still, I kept paying. Because deep down, I thought that maybe after the wedding, things would go back to how they used to be. Maybe Hannah would hug me and say, "You've always been the most important person in my life." I still had hope. I received an invitation to a family dinner on a Thursday evening, just weeks before Hannah's wedding. The text from Mom was short. "Everyone's gathering to finalize wedding matters. Be there by 7 sharp, don't be late." Tyler, my boyfriend, looked up from the kitchen counter as I read it. "Are you sure you want to go? Lately, they've been treating you like an outsider." I nodded, forcing a smile. Maybe they realized things went too far. Maybe this is their way of making it right. But deep down, I already knew. When I arrived, my parents' house in Lakewood looked as peaceful as ever. White painted porch, rows of pine trees lining the walkway, warm golden light spilling from the kitchen windows. Everything was so painfully familiar. Mom opened the door with a stiff smile. "Come in, everyone's waiting." The living room smelled overly perfumed and unnervingly quiet. My dad sat hunched in his recliner, gripping his tea like it was an anchor. Hannah sat beside Rachel on the long couch, avoiding my eyes. And Megan, yes, Megan, was planted in the middle seat where I used to sit, wearing a faint, smug smile. I stood. No one offered me a chair. "Morgan, we need to clarify a few things," Mom began in that flat, practiced tone I'd known since childhood, the voice of decisions already made. I looked at Hannah, hoping she'd say something, but she only looked down. "Here's the thing," Mom continued. "Everyone feels like your presence during the wedding planning has been stressful." I frowned. "Stressful? You always try to control everything, the guest list, the flowers, even the ceremony music. It's made people uncomfortable." "Who are people?" I looked around the room. No one answered. "We've had separate discussions. With Hannah, Rachel, your father," she said, lowering her voice. "And everyone agreed, it's best if you don't attend the wedding." I thought I misheard. "What did you say?" "You're not going to be a bridesmaid, and your name's not on the guest list." Dad shifted like he wanted to say something, but Mom cut in. "Ronald, don't complicate this." I turned to Hannah. "You staying silent means you agree with them?" My sister looked up, eyes red. "You're always so intense. I just want a peaceful wedding." I scoffed, not because it was funny, but because there was nothing left to say. "Peaceful? So cutting me out entirely is the best way?" Megan pressed her lips together, eyes daring me to argue. I turned to Mom. "Do you even know how much I've spent on this wedding?" "Morgan," she interrupted. "Money doesn't buy the right to manipulate people's emotions. And it doesn't guarantee you a place at every important event." Dad looked at me with quiet pleading, choosing silence again. I took a deep breath and stood taller. "Fine, if this is your decision, I'll respect it, but don't expect me to keep supporting things behind the scenes like before." Mom gave a thin smile. "No one's asking you to." I nodded, turned, and walked out of the room I once called family. No one followed, no one called after me. By the time I closed my car door, my hands were shaking, my whole body numb with shock. I don't remember the drive home, but Tyler was waiting on the steps, and the second he saw me, he knew. They shut me out. My voice didn't sound like my own. "No," he said quietly. "You stepped out, and that was the right thing to do." I sat on the kitchen floor, the cold wood grounding me like nothing else. This wasn't a misunderstanding. Not wedding stress. They knew exactly what they were doing. And from this moment on, so did I. I woke up the next morning with swollen eyes and a mind still spiraling from the fall. Tyler was still asleep, his hand gently resting on my shoulder, a quiet reminder that I wasn't alone. But no one else could do what I needed to do next. I made coffee and sat at the kitchen table with my laptop. The kitchen light was still off, just a dim glow from the gray Colorado sky leaking through the windows. First order of business, I reopened my bank account. The $5,000 payment for the honeymoon hotel in Santorini? Canceled. The business class flight? Contacted the airline. I got a partial refund just over $3,200. I quietly logged each detail. Santorini Suites. Canceled 6 nights, $5,000. Aegean Airlines, round-trip tickets canceled, $3,200. Private cooking class plus sunset cruise, refunded $750. And I sent a short email to the travel agent. The honeymoon trip is no longer needed. Please cancel all related services and send refund confirmations. Next, I opened the wedding expense spreadsheet, the one I created, the one that now no longer belonged in my life. Photographer paid $2,750. Invitations and design, $1,100. Welcome baskets for out-of-state guests, $1,400. Private tasting session, $2,000. Total, nearly $15,000 for a wedding I was no longer welcome at. It wasn't the money I mourned. It was myself. I opened my credit card app and changed the access setting to account holder only. No more mom, no more family charges I had recently found out were made without my consent. I found a charge labeled Premium Linens for Reception for $780, charged to my card. I had never been asked. I filed a claim with the credit card company for unauthorized transaction. System response: your request is being processed. Then I sent a single message in the family group chat, the one I had never left, hoping someday things would get better. Morgan, I've withdrawn all wedding support. Payments, accounts, and credit cards have been canceled or reversed. Please don't try to reach out. I need space to protect myself. I hope that's respected. 15 minutes later, the phone rang. Mom, calling, lit up the screen. I didn't answer. 3 more calls from Hannah. 1 from Dad. Then the texts started flooding in. Cheryl, Mom, you're being petty and childish. After all these years of caring for you, now you turn your back just because of a little feedback? Hannah, what are you doing? This is the most important day of my life. You can't ruin it just because you're hurt. Ronald, Dad. Morgan, I know you're upset, but we can fix this. Don't make things worse. Worse? I had been cast out of their lives like a stranger, and now I was the one destroying everything? Tyler walked out, looked at me squarely. They're trying to pull you back into their cycle again, aren't they? I nodded slightly. He placed a hand on my shoulder. Not reacting is sometimes the strongest reaction. I stayed silent, and for the first time I let go, not in defeat, but in clarity. That afternoon, I pulled every wedding document out of the drawer. Receipts, table layouts, flower palettes, the leather notebook Hannah gave me when we first started, its cover embossed. The best maid of honor ever. I boxed it all up, sealed it with tape, and labeled it. No longer mine. I placed the box under the stairs, not to keep it, but to mark that I had left it behind, for good. 3 days after I withdrew all my support for the wedding, my phone rang at 7 a.m., a time usually reserved for emergencies or board meetings. The caller ID read, Andrew, Hannah's fiancé. His voice was urgent. Morgan, I know you don't want to talk to anyone right now, but this is important. You need to hear this. I paused. You've got 2 minutes. Last night, I found something on Hannah's phone. Messages between you and her. Something's off. What do you mean? Here, texts from you that don't sound like you, and when I checked her settings, I found a strange number saved under your name. My whole body went cold. You're saying my mother changed Hannah's contacts? Not just that. I think she's been sending fake messages from a different number, making Hannah believe you refused every invitation and even insulted her. I snapped open my laptop the second we hung up. I gathered every backup, emails, receipts, screenshots of payments I'd sent Hannah. I compiled them into a single PDF file titled The Truth. That afternoon, I walked into a small cafe in downtown Denver, one Hannah and I used to frequent. But this time, it wasn't Mom sitting beside her. It was Andrew, his face drawn and tense. Hannah froze when she saw me. Her eyes were swollen, two untouched cappuccinos sat on the table. She spoke barely above a whisper, like saying my name too loud might scare me away. Morgan, I didn't know. I opened my laptop, turned the screen toward her, and said quietly but firmly, "It's okay, but you need to look." I scrolled through booking emails, payment confirmations, real text threads between us, the ones I actually sent, the ones she never received. Andrew picked up Hannah's phone and opened her messaging app. "Here," he said, pointing at her contacts. "This number is saved as Morgan, but it's not yours. The messages from it are cold, dismissive, even slightly insulting. I think your mom created it." Hannah didn't say anything. She just lowered her head, tears falling freely. I continued, pulling up my detailed wedding budget. "Here's my bank statement. Every expense, every deposit, even the honeymoon I canceled." Anna's hand trembled as she reached for the edge of the table. "I didn't know. I thought you just pulled away, that you believed I didn't deserve your support." Andrew cleared his throat, his voice cracking. "Last night your mom came over, said Morgan was trying to ruin everything, but something didn't feel right. I checked the text history. At least 3 messages were deleted. Real ones from Morgan, replaced with those fakes." I looked Hannah in the eyes. "And you didn't find it strange when I suddenly disappeared? When the person who spent months helping you plan got pushed out like a stranger?" Anna sobbed. "I did. But every time I questioned it, Mom had a reason. She showed me proof. Screenshots. I thought they were real, I swear." I didn't respond right away. Outside the window, the first snow of the season had begun to fall, and inside me, something also melted, like the final layer of frost between me and my sister. Andrew gently held Hannah's hand. "We have to confront her. We can't let this go on. Morgan's been through enough." I closed my laptop. "I don't need revenge. I just need the truth. If you want to rebuild this, start from there." Hannah nodded, her eyes bloodshot but steady. "I do, and I won't let her destroy this again." We sat there for a while longer, saying nothing. But for the first time in months, the silence between us wasn't distance. It was a beginning. The family meeting took place on a Sunday afternoon at Aunt Linda's house, my dad's younger sister and the only person in our family who had ever dared to confront my mother without fear of consequence. The usually cozy living room felt unbearably heavy, as if everyone could sense something irreversible was about to unfold. I sat beside Hannah, with Andrew next to her. My father, Ronald, was in the corner, more solemn than usual. Rachel had been invited, but claimed she had work and didn't show up. My mother, Cheryl, walked in last, clutching her leather handbag and wearing a glare sharp enough to cut glass. "I heard there's something to clear up. Hopefully this isn't another performance," she said, taking a seat across from me like it was a courtroom. I didn't respond. I just opened my laptop and placed it in front of me. "I'll get straight to the point," I said. "Answered the record, showing you deliberately manipulated information, impersonated me, and sabotaged my relationship with Hannah." I mirrored the screen to the TV, showing screenshots of fake texts, messages my mother had sent from another number saved under my name. Messages she sent to Hannah for 3 whole months. Hannah's hands shook, but she spoke up. "Mom, this is the message log. Andrew verified the number was altered in my contacts. You even deleted Morgan's real messages from my phone." My mother gave a familiar, condescending laugh. "You kids are too sensitive. I just adjusted things a little to protect Hannah." "Adjusted?" I frowned. "You made my sister think I looked down on her, refused to help her, and deliberately tried to hurt her? I did what I did for your own good. Morgan, you always control everything. Hannah needed space. Andrew cut in, his voice firmer than I'd ever heard. No one needs space built on lies and manipulation. You didn't just damage their bond, you nearly turned the wedding into a charade. Cheryl went silent for a beat. Then, as I predicted, she entered phase two. Angry, ungrateful, the lot of you. Everything I've done was for this family. Morgan, without me, what foundation would you even have to stand on today? I kept my voice unsettlingly calm. You can't guilt me anymore. I've lost too much staying silent just to be a good daughter. That ends now. My father exhaled. Cheryl, I've stayed quiet too long, but what Morgan's shown us, I can't ignore it. Her eyes darted around the room, searching for support. No one spoke. Aunt Linda stood with her arms folded, expression like steel. Then came the final act, tears. I'm just a mother who wants her children happy. How could you all turn on me like this? She said, wiping her face. Morgan, we share blood. How can you humiliate your own mother in front of the family? Anna gripped my hand. No one's humiliating you. We're speaking the truth and setting boundaries. Andrew added firmly, if you can't respect those boundaries, no more control, no more lies, no more sabotage, then you won't be part of the wedding. The room fell silent. Cheryl looked as though someone had punched the last of her pride. You're choosing her over me? She asked Hannah, voice cracking. Hannah replied, calm and clear. I'm choosing truth over manipulation. I'm choosing to build my own future, not be ruled by twisted memories. Aunt Linda stood. This meeting wasn't to gang up on anyone. It was to end a pattern of pain that's gone on too long. If nothing else changes, then at least let it stop. We didn't expect instant repentance, but the simple act of naming the truth out loud in front of everyone was our first taste of freedom. My mother left without another word, and when the door shut behind her, it felt as though the air had been cleared of poison. I turned to Hannah. She squeezed my hand tightly, eyes shining. I owe you an apology and a promise. From now on, we stand together. I gently squeezed back. That's the promise I've always been waiting for. 2 weeks after the family confrontation, I got a text from Hannah. If you're willing, I want you to be my bridesmaid again, not out of duty, but because I truly need you there. I read that sentence 3 times. Then I replied, I'll do it, but this time on clear terms. We met at a small cafe on Colfax, the same place we used to plan family trips years ago. I didn't beat around the bush. I'll help you, but I'm not going back to being the unpaid coordinator. I'll participate, but only at a healthy level. I'm not the dumping ground for pressure anymore. Hannah nodded, no deflection, no vague apologies this time. I get it, and I respect that. We hugged, no more words were needed. Some cracks don't disappear, but they can heal if both sides want healing. Over the next weeks, I helped coordinate the bridesmaids, picked new dresses, this time chosen by Hannah herself. I stayed out of vendor emails, budgeting, and there was no fronting the costs and sorting it later. Dad quietly supported us both. He showed up to every rehearsal, silent but steady. As for Mom, after that meeting, she no longer acted like the director of the event. No one forced her to change, but with pressure from Aunt Linda and Andrew, she finally started seeing a therapist. She hasn't apologized, but she's kept her distance. And for me, a boundary respected is often more valuable than a forced apology. The wedding day came with a quiet blue sky and gentle sun. Hannah walked out in a pure white lace gown, holding lavender, smiling at me in the mirror as I fixed her veil. "Do you know what I used to fear most?" she asked, eyes glistening. "That I wouldn't be here anymore?" She nodded. "But now I know that fear wasn't about losing you. It was about how I let others pull me away from you." I gently squeezed her hand and whispered, "We still have years to make it right." The ceremony unfolded under golden evening light, no drama, no interruptions. Mom sat quietly in the second row, just a guest. She didn't interfere, didn't try to hijack speeches, didn't steal anyone's spotlight. Hannah cried reading her vows. Andrew's hands shook placing the ring. And I stood there, not as the scapegoat, not the outsider, but as a sister, in the truest sense. After the wedding, we didn't return to how things were, but what we have now is a bond built on truth, healthy boundaries, and the deliberate choice to hold on. The following summer, Hannah gave birth to her first daughter. When I visited, she placed the baby in my arms. Guess her name? I looked at the baby, gray, new eyes like Hannah, high forehead like Andrew. Don't tell me. Her middle name is Morgan, because if she ever needs an example of strength and self-respect, I want her to look at that name first. I couldn't hold back my tears. That same year, Tyler proposed to me on a trip to Oregon. No roses, no candles, just a simple question after a hike. Are you ready to start a new chapter where you finally put yourself first? I nodded. We held a small engagement party, just close friends and the people who truly mattered. Mom wasn't invited, not out of spite, but because I've learned, blood doesn't entitle anyone to a place in your life. Who we allow in, that is our choice. And this time, I chose me. Chose love that doesn't cost my peace. Chose family, but not at the cost of myself. Morgan's story is a powerful reminder that family bonds can't survive without honesty and respect. In real life, some of the deepest wounds come not from strangers, but from emotional manipulation within our own bloodlines. But like Morgan, you have every right to set boundaries, protect your worth, and choose relationships that truly honor you. Blood does not give anyone the right to cause harm. And sometimes walking away from the role of the fixer is the first real step toward freedom. What do you think about Morgan's journey and the choices she made? Share your thoughts below, and don't forget to follow the channel for more powerful stories about family, truth, and courage in everyday life.